involvement though for, yes.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Well, that looks good.
There's plates right here, napkins.
Twist my arm.
Yeah, do it. That's wonderful. It's your government, have some pizza.
I think you want to I certainly shall. Thank you very much.
Good, got a beautiful new museum right in that area. Really.
Okay, we'll call this council special session to order. The discussion topics are council retreat part 1 for 2022 goal setting, celebrating accomplishments and a SWOT exercise. And I'm going to let Rachel Berry facilitate for this council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and councilors. Thank you for your work today and always. I saw each of you really listening and welcoming the public and doing great public service, and thank you for that. The purpose of this retreat, yes, is exactly that, to review the council goals as we look to the future, to review some plan accomplishments, and to complete a SWOT exercise. This is an evaluation from where you sit of our strengths and weaknesses internally, and then the opportunities and threats that may be out there, more of an external perspective. Really, this is a great and important exercise. Make sure all of your voices and perspectives are heard, that we can capture some themes we may be looking to in the next 2 years, and craft action plans from there. I want to thank you for the work you did in the last cycle to adopt goals and the work plan. We're kind of new to this, right? Prior to the last work plan, it had been about 15 years before this, between the time the city did their last strategic planning exercise. So we're getting better all the time. And it's thanks to us working together. If you have input into the process as we go along, definitely let's talk about it. Wanted to just, the intense focus today on one area of the city's activities. This is really a chance to back up and to zoom out and to think about the mission, right? And the mission is behind you. The mission is to provide quality, effective, and efficient service to our citizens. And this is the umbrella for everything that we do, for every piece of work accomplished by staff, the way we communicate, the way we engage with volunteers, and how we work together towards common purpose with a shared voice. And I'm gonna have Matt go up to our current strategic work plan. And just wanted to go through, we're gonna just look at our goal areas here, and then John's gonna talk a little bit about the work that we've done in this past year. Go ahead. Or if you can back up one, let's just zoom back out a second. And let's look at all 5 of them and our future projects, right? This one being an effective organization. Overall policy direction, how we operate as a team, operating with a sustainable budget, proper human resource practices, proper policies in place for our team, is encompassed under there. The community and civic engagement. This, as you all know, and thank you for your help in sharing the word about our community survey that just closed on Monday. Coming up on 680 participants, a couple more hard copies to enter. I'm really excited to bring those results coming soon. That's a big piece of community engagement, and you heard from Crystal today, all of the work we do to engage on social and on the street, and some of the investments that you've made are really paying off in person-to-person contact. Livable and safe community. So there's a lot in this one area, right? These are our library services. These are a lot of our public works projects you're gonna see under there. Public safety falls under the safe community. Economic development, you all are very engaged in our current economic development efforts. And it's going. And in the next year, we're gonna see things coming out of the ground on the riverfront property. Like, we're at this amazing place in our history as a community. And then also keeping in focus that long-term planning goal. This is how we get where we need to go. Tonight, I'm so excited for your agenda to be approving master plans. That's huge. Yeah, planning is a big deal. And this work we're gonna do tonight really helps to inform short-term strategies to get to these long-range plans. Now I will throw to John and we can go into goal area 1. You ready now, John?
Yeah, no, we've done goal setting, on and off over the years quite often, and goal categories are generally pretty similar as far as public safety and economic development, livability, and things kind of align with the mission. What's newer is this notion of the strategic plan and the 2-year look. Basically, we're looking, rather than every year, we're taking a little bit longer look at the plans we do. What we have in our strategic plan is very tangible projects. This is, before we had more of a mix of tangibles and intangibles about quality of life, and we're probably going to fold some of those aspects back into it. But it's, things that are tactile and you can touch and feel are really easy to check the box, and then we talk about going through these and checking the boxes completed. Sometimes these are years of work in the making, and like Gable Road was a 15-year project that culminated and came back over the last couple of years, and just give it a casual good job, that's great. It doesn't really do any sort of justice to the amount of level of effort that went into those projects. So I'll just kind of go through these. I think the meat of the meeting is going to be in your working forward with the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats analysis. So, but it is, we've done a lot of really good work. Council should be proud. I'm proud of a lot of work done. I'm proud of our staff. A really functional team working really hard to. With this document, basically, is the goalposts for a lot of So under efficient and effective organization, we've got, upgrading our organizational chart. We've gone through all of our job descriptions, kind of getting our house in order, onboarding processes, offboarding processes, exit interviews, that thing for internal employees, and also for the council members and commissioners having a process for that. And that's, kind of a work in progress, but it's top of mind. We want to make sure we have a smooth process while people are serving the city, and whether they're elected or employed or volunteers or what have you. The personnel IT policies. IT has been something we've kind of doubled down on, looking at the future here. We know that, particularly as we pursue municipal broadband, and that's going to be something that's going to, takes a lot of investment and time, and we want to be on top of our game there. So we've done that. A few things that didn't make the list as far as some of the city commissioners and boards things, the media training for council and commissioners. We've done a little bit of that. Wouldn't say we've knocked it out of the park on that.
The code amendments ready.
We're close.
We're close to marking that as completed. You just have to approve the changes.
I know with Crystal and the social media dynamics of how that is ever changing and evolving. It's really, I'm just really glad the council invested in communications, and we're reaping the benefits of that.
When I came on council, we didn't have a communications person. And boy, it was, Kathy can attest to this, it was it really getting to a critical point where the council chambers would fill up and they didn't know what was going on. Nobody knew. And when Crystal came along, even though she started halftime, it all started to drastically change to a point of what we saw today. Oh my heavens. What a report.
It's really getting to that speaking with one voice. We don't have, the city speaks with one voice. And, at least from the staff perspective, that word found message to the community. And I think it's done a lot for our reputation.
And that social media stuff is just going to continue to grow. It's just the way the world is headed.
So moving on to Coal Area 2, community and civic engagement, a lot of work there with the rec programs, the rec acquisition of rec buildings. Community survey we're looking at tonight is also a big piece of that. Big livable community. There's a lot of projects there as far as the Running Road project coming up. How many years we talked about that? People came in and complained about all the years we did that, and we finally managed to advance that and get it done.
We're really happy about it too.
Yeah.
Really happy.
It is kind of an interim fix for a sidewalk and kind of a, not really a road. I mean, it's more of a road than it is a street. The roads have grounds and ditches, and streets have curb gutters and sidewalks. So we were kind of making safe as it could be for.
Okay, so sorry. Say roads have.
Oh, no, now he's going to go on about it.
I haven't heard this distinction. A road, crowns, and
It
ditches.
typically has
and streets.
a crown and, open ditches. on the
Okay.
side. Yeah, not really pedestrian friendly.
Sure, that would be a road, okay, in the street.
Street is curb gutter sidewalk finish.
Okay.
That's it.
Come on.
I love this.
I had never heard it said that way. Okay, thank you.
But, and so other,
Keep running that because we're in the gutter now.
Oh.
Well, learn something tonight. It's been a great project though, and I live
Okay.
in that neighborhood over there and see people using it every day. all over
Okay.
town, so it's been great.
and sometimes what we do is very opportunistic. We know it's a project we need to do. We just don't have the funding or the priorities to do it. And this, this street trail is one of those projects where we go to Nike, they throw us $20,000 to do the project. We performed in-house, and we have this kind of cool backwoods connection to the city to create a nice inner city trail network, which is, great. And that happens with other projects as, we get grants and they match. They may not be the highest priority on the list, but they're a priority. And we gotta make those things happen. I mentioned Gable Road, continuation, some more pieces of that as far as sidewalk connections. The internal police operations, we've, Chief Greenway has just done a fantastic job with our department. I think we're respected around the region and really super proud of the work they're doing and the steps council's done to retain and attract officers and keep them here and treat them well.
We want long-term officers.
Decreasing
good.
crime, that's
Yeah.
awesome to see, that it's paying off too.
Whatever it can do.
Setting a goal to decrease crime is very aspirational, but
Yeah.
really, any police chief will tell you that, you're just chasing that around. There's times when you try your hardest and more and it'll be less. But proud of the work that we do down there. Building and creating a financially stable recreation program. Wow, with that, who know that create this rec program and then all of the community organizations that were doing their own thing almost instantaneously turned around and said, oh, city, here, you take it. And when they were doing all these basketball programs, just a lot. And we had to kind of grow to meet that demand. After school daycare and that kind of thing, partnerships with the school that we've managed to forge and it's, that doesn't happen everywhere. It's something we're really proud of. Some work to do on Godfrey Park, that's on our list. Campbell Park is en route. We heard about earlier. Crystal did a good job of talking about some of these. Just
Yeah, I was like, thank you for that.
Cormorant Park, playground with all those pieces of that puzzle that came together is something to be proud of. Hopefully that. Slide.
Yeah.
Line?
Zip line, check online here, because there's some pieces of that why that's not fixed, and
I'm wondering if it had something to do with just like the time of year.
it's a vendor thing. And
Yeah, it's a little bit of shipping in COVID, but also they're a little hesitant to put it back up because they're afraid it might get broken.
Is there a weight limit on that by chance?
There is there is a weight limit. We're trying not to put out signage of if you weigh over X amount of pounds, don't write.
Not like
But
that, just
unfortunately, we get teenagers and adults that make the choice to go on it and then they bounce on it and put more stress on the pole than is what required to just slide back and forth.
yeah, that is not a team sport.
I've seen
It's a
multiple
team
people
up.
on that.
Exactly.
Push my 4-year-old on it, okay?
So, but yeah, the amount of attention the park's got, the Trailblazer connection is fantastic. Talked about Gable Road, the workout at the library and the Columbia Learning Center, that building with the makerspace lab, all that good work, kind of, the library becoming its relevancy in the library of things, and there's a lot of really good work there. Some of the less sexy stuff about pipes under the ground, we've got water mains, pipes, you don't see that there's all, but they're really, it's very important, and you notice when they don't work correctly.
I have to say, that's actually one of the things that got me up this morning, because I was not looking forward to meetings today, and it was like, and I know the mayor had mentioned this before, keep your eye on the prize. And you think water and storms and sewers, without that, then we don't have the prize. And so, yeah, that's what we're serving communities. So no, that got me up this morning. That woke me up this morning. That we're gonna be approving those plans.
That's what continues to keep me going too as well. Seriously, we're all here because we want better for the community.
Yes. Yeah.
That's our main purpose.
Oh.
Serve the citizens and push these and inform them and push these projects forward through policy.
Roads and sidewalks
Yeah.
and safety and.
Yeah, and so much of what we do, the work we do here at the city, as far as providing services and, it's foundational kind of work, and it's working well, you're not gonna hear any problems about it. And so that's a sign of kind of a badge of honor when it's quiet. It's working well and parks are clean, and I was complaining about water quality or stuff up in overflowing manholes and things of that nature. So yeah, there's been a fair amount of work done with, water main replacements, the work at Old Gable Road, the Mill Creek Bridge, the overhaul of the building next door, having, civic pride and some places that we're proud to be in, so. Taking the ceiling out, doing the facade improvements there has really been a nice, when people come to City Hall and City Hall, and the utility building and the courts, I think they feel pretty good about the facilities they have. Maybe not so much there, so much if you work upstairs at City Hall, because the floors go out a 3-inch dip in them and you can't get a chair to stay straight.
Try to walk to Mohammed's office, you'll see.
It's still kind of dizzy, but. Yeah, and then supporting our community partners, Columbia Food Bank grant, city and the county are the only entities that can sponsor community development block grants, and we only get a limited amount of those. And we the council chose to support the food bank in their endeavor to, we had paid $1.5 million for the food bank, so they're working through that. We're administrating all the funding with that, so there's a lot of work on our end. But it's, serves the community need. It's something that doesn't really flash above the fold too much.
And Jenny informed us that they were a little bit behind on funding, need a little bit more, so they would out and raise that, I think $180,000 to finish it.
Yeah, the amount of people that use the food bank is pretty astonishing in the county.
The problem with the food bank is the number of people who should be using it who are not. They're afraid to go. There's a lot of people in this town that are hurting. And it shows up in the kids. That's so they've got a big job to do.
Why are they afraid?
Well, one, it's a stigma. Some of the people are not strapped in tight. There's a multitude of reasons. None of them, what I would describe as logical and good, but it keeps people out.
Yeah, to that point, I'm hoping that and I haven't talked to them about it, how they manage it. When you drive by Linton in the morning and they have food bank days, there's a line that goes kind of down the highway right there. I'm hoping that they can be more discreet about that, having channels and entrances off the back or something. That's
Good point.
not quite as.
More partnerships with the schools and stuff like that. They have great leadership at the food bank, so I'm excited to see what they're gonna do.
So moving on to economic development, we've heard the message about streamlining, about process improvement, about getting permits out the door timely. We've done a pretty great strides towards that. I feel like Rachel's coordinated monthly meetings, or it seems like we've moved from adding additional staff to going digital to outsourcing to now we're looking at electronic plan review submittals. Coordinating between.
So you're continuing to master the craft of honing in on this, is what I hear you saying. It's working, what you're doing.
It's gonna be continuous improvement, but just to have community development in the same space and open information sharing and now digital information sharing, I think is a key part of that, so.
Yeah, moving from a model where we're, have a sequential review, like one person just goes on this, to a concurrent review where you come in, everything's electronic, it goes to all the departments it needs to go to, and that they all check off their covers and come back and get, save this, whose desk, whose pile gets passed down the chain there is. So updating the business licenses code, rules and forms, I think we've done some great strides to streamline that, to make it real simple, and, take a lot of the bureaucracy out of that. Some work on the website as far as being business friendly and having those local business information on there. Doing, a lot of times the work we do is mandated upon us. The state tells us what we're gonna adopt and not adopt, so we have to go through the processes with that, and that was the housing and mandates, the municipal code amendments related to that. So sometimes pretty, the parking thing with the duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes things, that's a pretty good healthy discussion. So. Still exploring, we talked about exploring the municipal broadband with CGN, networks. That's going along with the survey, and that's gonna offer, if it proves to be viable, which we believe it to be, is for the city to have. For today, communications is the lifeblood of, it's like similar to water, really, in the future, as far as having that information sharing and the capacity, the digital piece of that. So it's a real opportunity for the city to ensure all of its residents are, have the same opportunities to access internet and things. Did some work with identifying properties for redevelopment. So the 10th and 12th streets, there's still some work to do on some other things. The Great Cliff Park and water facility planning, that's work with the Marine Board. And actually, on part of my report tonight, I was going to talk about the St. Helens Marina is looking to get a permit to Great Cliff Park. We put sand down there before and it washes away. There, we have an opportunity working with the marina to get their dredge spoils permitted to be that beach right there to be with the boat launches. So just want to get the council's input of that. I'll touch back on that again.
When I first came on the council, we put kind of the start of Great Cliffs Waterfront Park. We thought sand would be something that would be an asset. We dumped the allotted amount of sand that we could. And that stuff stayed around for 3, 4, 5 years. And when Keith Locke was back here, it seems like his last year here, a couple of years ago, he says, come on, let's go for a walk. And went down to where he lives down there by Great Cliff Park. I took a look and he says, well, the sand's still here. And it is, and just in a little eddy that, and so it will stay in place, I'm sure. It's exactly what they did in Selwood Park in Portland. Selwood Park never was a sand beach. And they started dumping stuff in there and putting some swales in. It's one of the more popular sand beaches in the Portland vicinity now, right in front of Oaks Park, that area.
So the purpose would be for recreational use?
Recreation. If you're launch kayak down there, it's pretty mucky. So they kind of nasty.
Would you define pretty mucky?
In there.
Pretty mucky is what, ankle or?
It's pretty mucky.
Depends on the tide.
Not ankle. I walked it before.
All right.
And his ankles, my knees were okay.
So the urban renewal agency, I know we have some, we've updated our financials, trying to, the goal of the financials right now is to match the funding or the debt stream that's going to come off this funding from the state to help pay for it. That's work updating that. Hopefully it was enough. The industrial park initial development plan, the parcelization plan we completed tonight on the agenda. We have the phase 1 utilities with Mackenzie that we looked at last week briefly. And creating a riverfront district development plan. We've done that over the last 2 years, and we're advancing that work in a big way. So the stormwater master plan, the sewer master plans, those are both things that are on the agenda tonight. Huge. You may notice that our agenda is 633 pages long, which has to be some sort of record. That's
I looked at every page.
burn
It's read, but I looked.
a lot for anybody to take that on. So we don't want to do all of our master plans at once. So we're going to look at the next, the water is going to be the next plan that goes. And parks as well. Parks is coming on. So as these ones get adopted, we're looking at the water and the parks is coming. Public safety facility plans, there's a lot of good work doing there. Your field trip sound like it yielded some really positive refinements to get it potentially a smaller building, potentially at less cost. So that's really good news. Just, start, work on it, refine it. It's seems scary at first, is digestible by the time we're done. And then, IT upgrades. Those departments doing code amendments and code enforcement process review. I know we have the down at the docks. We've been championing. I've got a date for a meeting on that one. December 14th, 4 o'clock, which I'll talk about later. And, but this is taking a lot of time, but so under
Well, and I do think we should get into the exercise, but this, I can't overstate the value of having this plan. Having it as a communications tool, I hope you all direct constituents to it. This really keeps us accountable and it keeps us focused internally. As we know, council sets the goals and the direction and the policy for the city. John is a fabulous, steady leader and really has put the right resources and the right personnel in place to undertake a lot of these complex projects. Cannot overstate just the value and the power of John's leadership. And then this comes down to the community level. When people ask me questions, I direct them to the plan. I let them know how to engage. It's a really great tool. I'm just so looking forward to continuing to build on this.
This is probably going to be way ahead of time of what we're allocated for here, what we're doing. But just in recent kinds of developments at the federal level, the amount of monies that are coming into infrastructure. We're fools if we don't tune into that and get those issues that we want on our master plans, so that when monies do come available pretty quick, that we have something on our master plan that we can point to when we make application. If we don't do that, then we're kind of at a, not at a loss, but we're kind of on the back burner until that kind of happens. So now would be a really good time to have a bit of an exercise of, do we need to replace the bridges over Milton Creek? Do we need to, what do we need to do for infrastructure? Possibly with all that money, possibly, why not put in something like an overpass from West Street to Pittsburgh Road? Why not do something like that? I mean, I don't think it needs to be an elaborate kind of plan, but it's got to be something on, I think, down on paper that we have talked about it, thought about it. If not, it's a concept, maybe not quite a plan, but that's just my input.
Yes. And thank you for that. And this is happening right now.
Rachel can attest that I sat in on the rail safety thing last night with the.
Yeah, I missed it because it was short notice. I apologize.
I was tearing them up.
Yeah. Well, and it really, yes, and about getting these things in the plan and the sightings. And you really hit it. We just got a request from Business Oregon of our top 6 infrastructure projects. So we're going through our plan and we're inputting that information, and some of it, you know, we never thought funds would be available, but now that they are, let's position ourselves to. Yeah.
Our city is really impacted by that rail. I mean, we've had this discussion more than any other city in Columbia County. Scotland's being second, but
And that's the message I was carrying, that you know, the switch yard needs to go, that we need a great, you know, safer crossings, we need, you know, safety.
One thing we ought to do,
Crushing it.
in the same way, is stop everything, which is gonna bother you. We've got a connector plan, a waterfront plan, the framework plan, the sewer plan, sewer plant, and toxic waste dump, the industrial area, 2 areas there, and getting across the railroad. Each of these affects the other person. And typically, we've looked at it piecemeal. Like, let's look just for a quick moment at the industrial plant, the white paper mill. Do we have a road that goes from there through the port property and back out to Railroad Avenue, a loop there? Do we have a bridge design to get across Route 30, a number of bridges? And one of the things that scares me is Richfield got a $5 million grant to put a bridge across the railroad over there so they could get down to the water. We have a stoplight for $7 million here. Some of these things hurt us. I would break the industrial property into two properties. One is the White Mill plant, and where that segmented piece is, we have to go through the neighborhood, call that another one. Just so I don't have to say, oh, we're cutting around to the other side of the plant. The connector plant, how many cars, trucks, and other vehicles do we have to get from Route 30 to the city hall? How many trucks bring Coca-Cola, potato chips, and whatever? Because when we did the connector plan at the time, most of this stuff wasn't needed.
And Councilor Topaz, could I start to capture some of these in the exercise? A lot of what I hear you saying, and Matt's gonna come and help me and write, but a lot of I hear you saying the way our plans work together.
They don't right now.
Well, may this be a weakness or is this it's an opportunity? Everything's an opportunity.
It's an
to me.
opportunity. Now, one of the things that struck me, a piece of data that came up well after a lot of this, that's scary is, we have a sewer and a stormwater plant. Well, was in end of 1819, we had a cave-in over by the sewer plant. And when you looked in the hole was 20 foot deep, 20 feet away from the pond, the lagoon. The bottom was 14 feet below the water, and there was water running in the bottom of that. We have a big storm line there that had to get replaced, but the end of the storm line doesn't have a gate on it. So every time the tide goes up and down, we're running water in and out and along the side. So there are some things we really have to rethink how we're doing it. Now that unfortunately is a big piece of the connector plan. So we have a major problem, if you would, in the next 50 years. The other thing that scares me, we've got a green attitude going on in the country. When are we going to get yelled at that we've got the wrong type of sewer plant and forced into doing something? If the mill closes right now, they don't use any water, and our sewer disposals, because we can dilute what comes out of the sewer plant into the river. So that's what I'm saying, the connector plan, which is down this road in this cave in, the sewer plant, the road, each of these were done, peaceful. I think we have to sit down and have, without putting a dollar sign on it, this is what we need, and this is, with all the money showing up, maybe we could grab all of it.
Well, and just a second, Counselor, could I just, there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
Can I try and capture, I heard some infrastructure concerns in different systems. You pointed out 3 different systems
Yep.
where you have concerns. Is there a way to capture that up here? Is it a weakness, infrastructure blind spots, infrastructure weaknesses? Is that a fair?
Well, it's a weakness because we have to fix it, but one, we have to fix it. 2, our opportunity, we've got to fix it if we want to go forward. And it's part of the connector plan, can we say, this is just a connector plan?
Okay, and that's a surface transportation, right? So.
No, okay,
Well.
the transportation in this city, is water,
Okay, yeah.
road, and railroad.
Rail. Mhm.
And right now, we typically think it only as the road. Our industrial people need the others.
Well, so could we capture it as a strength is different modes of transportation?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, there was a lot there. I just want to get.
And this is why I said we've got to look at these, because they're all tied together.
Yes.
And when we went through these, didn't tie these things together.
Could we put an opportunity for connectivity
Yes?
very broadly? Thank you. And then let's hear from a couple other folks.
And when you do that, some of the insurance problems go away, by the way.
Opportunity for connectivity generally.
Well, one of the areas that I've heard a little bit about since we have the big apartment complex going in is that intersection.
Yes.
People are seriously concerned about that intersection. I hear about it at least once a week.
Yes, and John made great points about it last night with the rail. Could we capture that Highway 30 in Gable as a weakness?
Yeah.
That would be really a problem when we get these apartments that they're got a big hole finished.
Right, right. And that's, of course, we're growing very quickly. We're adding a lot more units. And some of this is strength in ratepayers, but some of it is a weakness in our ability to provide and our infrastructure being able to hold up, right? Council Berkeley?
I was gonna say, a threat is our vulnerability to catastrophic earthquake, whatever, highway 30 valuable directions. Gonna come down and we're isolated, so unless we have
We got
water.
natural disaster?
When the big, oh, yeah, so sorry,
That's what
yeah,
I
so when the
was-
big one comes, so the threat is,
Natural
we just have
disaster?
one way, one land route to Portland and one land route to the north.
Let's go, could we say natural disaster?
Impact on,
Infrastructure.
infrastructure, transportation.
Connectivity. That's it.
Transportation.
Connectivity, right?
It's like, stop changing it.
I talked to the railroad about.
It could mean everything.
They have, and it's their money, their equipment, they have probably the best ability to repair a connection between here and Portland in the shortest amount of time.
Sure.
And they do have ability to put people on the road in vehicles. So part of our plan has to be, what are alternate solutions to disaster?
Sure, but
Cool. And let's spend a little bit of time focusing on strengths and this, think about internal.
Connection to the water.
That's right.
Connection to water. And these can be natural attributes, they can be the teams that we've got in place. These tend to be more internally focused, these first two.
Planning and more planning.
Right at once.
all caps and underline and bold.
He's got it.
Italicized.
Do you have any idea how many tons of stuff was shipped in and out of here in the heyday? What is on the river?
I wanna say that this wasn't really a working port except for the bumblebee tuna. And then if you're going back 100 years, because the docks burned down in 1909, 1910, we know that. The only thing that was left was bumblebee tuna, and other than that, it was the mill, Owens Corning and Boise. So this actually has never been industrial for over 100 years.
Yeah, but we've had,
For
tons
over
being
100
shipped in
years.
and out.
For over 100 years, there has never been an industrial ship.
Where would a,
Bumblebee, I don't even remember, in 1973, and I was jumping off that dock when I was 6 years old, by the way. It was 40 feet high.
could we put our industrial past up here in a category, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
And he's like, you're jumping off docks. Come on, man. So, industrial past, like, is our industrial history, does that belong up here?
With what?
Our industrial history.
As a,
Oh, yeah. It's a
Where?
weakness. It's a weakness. It's a weakness.
I was thinking opportunity.
Well, with the cleanup, we
That's where I
have.
was going.
Oh,
I was like,
no.
wait,
Yeah.
It can be in both places.
Yeah.
Can we put it up our industrial past as a weakness
Yes.
Yeah, because
and an opportunity?
Armstrong, the pole yard, which isn't ours, but it's still in our, and our waterfront, our Boise, yes.
You know, how many tons of stuff came into Boise when there was a paper mill? That was fairly recent. That was at least in the 20s. We shipped a lot of stuff in tonnage. And when the veneer, before the veneer plant was a timber business, a long time ago, agreed, we had ocean going ships there.
Other thoughts on strengths?
Safety.
Safety.
So I feel like we're being very tangible about projects, just coming up a projects list and
Yeah,
talking about the council, how you function as a group and the other kind of qualitative kinds of things.
Sure, as a
At some
group,
point, and this is healthy, but at some point be thinking about
the squishy stuff.
squishy stuff, yeah.
I love the squishy stuff. And yet strengths.
all right, strength, strong personalities, if you wanna go there.
Sure.
I'm not afraid to go there.
And the flip side is weakness is the differences in strong personality.
It's all about.
Well, that could be all, that could be all all three, actually.
How about passionate?
Ditto.
Passion.
Passion, all of them.
Yeah, I think, yeah, does passion go up on all of them? Like, passion definitely can be leverage strength. Passion. Oh, we're color coded. Thank you, man.
Strength is,
A-type personality.
Strengths, we're counting strengths.
strength is our. I love finish opportunities. Cause oh, he's still in the passion.
Keep it, hold it, counselor, hold it.
I'll hold it off.
Our weakness is we're fragmented in pieces of town.
Okay, hang on a second. Let's
So
capture.
it is, we have some unique natural habitat in our park system, our parks and our, in our public lands.
We own an
So-
island.
But I would just, a strength is that we have accessibility to nature,
Yeah,
and enjoyment of nature.
access to nature, absolutely. We did that quite a bit in the survey.
And if I had the money, I'd buy Jacob's Mountain and do something that I think most other people would do it. But I don't have it.
What were we holding? We had.
That's great.
Okay, one of our weaknesses is we have fragments of town. We have the Holton area, we have this area and that area. And we've had fights here about where you put the driveway because of my 6 neighbors won't let me build a house.
Discussions.
Yeah, and of course, we got non-field, not looking at the river, or then some of these things hurt us. As compared to thinking of the whole town. Yes.
I think maybe an opportunities, and we talk about the railroad, I've heard a couple of instances, like with the 100-year anniversary, where they were invited to like speak or present at the depot thing, but also talking to the business owner, the real deal business, like they talked to the railroad doesn't have any problem with taking out that little fence so that they could access the highway. So if you know where the real deal is over there, you know that. He said, we talked to the railroad say, okay, yeah, you could take the fence out. I know ODOT would have a heck of a lot to say about it, but anyway, I think the opportunity is maybe a good opportunity to really build a relationship with the railroad and
Perfect.
look at alternatives for.
This is a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
Huge opportunity for a relationship with the railroad.
Interesting.
Once upon a time, I had the telephone number of the president of the railroad, we had nice conversations.
So I think one of our weaknesses, if I'm going back to council, is communication with one another.
Yeah.
Cause I just wanna let everybody know that I would never, and I did once to Doug personally attack in a meeting. And I would never do that to anybody ever again, cause I did not feel good about it, and it took a little while for us to build a relationship back up.
That kind of felt good when you did that.
So I just wanna let you know, I've already been down that road and I've never personally attacked anybody or singled anybody out.
I
It's
really
just not
respect
there.
Berkeley defending me today. That was really honorable.
One of the problems we have with communication,
So,
we can't all three talk together out of the room.
Yeah,
Room meetings, yeah.
Being bound by public meetings, but.
Yeah.
And would it be all right if we put council communication like internal or among your within council?
Yeah.
So-
Just because when we type the notes,
So I was
like
hoping
you're
to
gonna
follow that up with that being said,
see them
Councilor
from last year.
Gillian, if you felt like I was singling you out, I wasn't, I promise you that, 100%, I was not. And I'm sincerely apologizing to you, if you felt like that, please come to me when you have any issues on my behavior. Because I am a true professional and would love to hear constructive criticism.
Well, I really do appreciate that. I know that you get passionate up here and sometimes it can be a circus to deal with, but it's important to just be respectful and honorable of people that are around you.
So I've never,
Thank you.
like I said, I've had
Thank you, though.
one
I
issue.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I feel like we had one, there was another weakness and it was
I really do.
I did a little stutter getting that internal counsel, but there was another weakness identified.
It was the council, that's his internal. It was the
Oh,
meeting.
it was the Oregon Public Meetings Law. I like saying that on the record, Oregon Public Meetings Law.
So you're-
There's a weakness. There's weakness in this whole thing. No, it's very, it makes things difficult for reasons, you know, but.
Okay, under weaknesses, we have to deal with ODOT. And they're building a $7 million stoplight. You would think that now it's ODOT, so it's not us, it's the state, but it's in our backyard.
And can we like back that out and kind of think about partner relationships, right? Because there's always an opportunity for better and improving our partner relationships. Yeah, maybe surface transportation shows up as the weakness and some of the ODOT projects have been problematic.
And one of the problems we have with ODOT is we get a good personal connection with the manager for this area. And we go back to him 3 months and now he's over in Pendleton or so we can't build a continuous.
Yeah.
Are we bringing back the city, county meetings that we had at one time? Is that out the door or what?
We have it.
I talked to Commissioner Garrett and Heimmuller, and they were going to, and then COVID, they were shooting to go for this last quarter. We're also waiting on the old school to be upgraded,
Mhm.
so hopefully, starting next year, we'll be there.
Can we
'Cause
get,
I asked if they actually, and me and Henry talked, we were like, they should take the lead, because that's kind of.
yeah, and is that an opportunity in the real short term is to reconvene city and county folk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One other cities too, I've, been in contact with people from Scappoose and they've got like 911 stuff they're dealing with and they really want to work together, and I'm like, this is like out of my scope, like it's above my head. So
Yeah, and
more of a council type thing to discuss,
we feel that quite a bit too here because we do tend to lead. We tend to have good leadership and be kind of ahead of some of our neighbors, and it's just the largest jurisdiction. We feel a bit of that pressure where it's like, it's not really our things that are countywide shouldn't be led by St. Helens, right?
That'd be considered a threat sometimes.
Yeah, how do we sum that up?
Towards our stuff, I don't know, I mean, towards because we can get sidetracked sometimes.
Yeah,
right?
let's-
Those type of things that are really not in our control that kind of seems like it fits our wheelhouse, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
That's why I tell Patrick, man, let's just don't lose our eye on the prize, I mean, that's,
okay.
Regional decisions?
Or like, well, or
I don't know about
sidetracked,
that,
could
man.
it be like sidetracked by bigger needs, by regional needs, or? I like sidetracks up there.
I don't know how I want to put it. You guys get what I'm saying?
Let's-
Oh, yeah, here's an
let's set it like,
example.
maybe overextended, are we being asked to kind of step
Yes.
into different roles and we're
Overextended.
overextended?
I like that word.
One of the examples I see is we need a sewer plant that's new. Best place to put it is between, Scappoose.
Yeah.
Well, you know how that's working good. The people who should really take care of that, because it would enlarge a lot of business area for the county, is the county. Because a lot of that is not St. Helens or Scappoose between the two of us.
So we've asked that, I asked that with Magruder, this was brought up years ago, and they said absolutely we would support that because we monitor our rates. And we also would have to monitor because we would be in charge of as a entities to set the rates for people. So we'd have to have the ability to also outside of our UGB, capture that. And they would be 100% okay with us capturing that in the county for like future developments of a Lowe's, because we have to look at both of these being together.
Could this be an opportunity for regional infrastructure? Regional water,
Yes.
regional water wastewater?
Regionalism in general to kind of
Yeah, there's a huge,
share resources, things, do we need 3 different police departments or in South County?
It's a great PR for green.
Regionalism in general, yeah. Okay, and could you do me a favor and just parentheses, like, H2O, like water, public safety? Well, there was just,
But not public safety versus fire, but Johnson.
Uh,
Police.
okay,
Could be very different about Columbia County.
yeah, okay.
Especially there, that's the point.
I'm just trying to capture something for the notes later. No, just leave it regionalism in general, that, you'll remind me.
I just went through a list of accomplishments, and, most if not all of those things wouldn't happen if there's professional and dedicated staff that are not here. So
Yeah.
as far as strengths, I think that'd be remiss not to acknowledge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that should come fighting from their boss too. Should be like, that needs to go on there.
Right.
We really do. We haven't, we're doing stuff that bigger cities do, and really,
So I think that would be a strength too, would also visioning. And so I think even this council has a pretty good vision once it's presented to us, or, like the parks, the visioning and making that new park over on Ross Road.
One of our weaknesses has to do with the same thing. Once upon a time, this area was basically run by the big mills. And the people just said yes, because they had no thing. We're transitioning to now a government that's running things. And it hasn't been that long ago that the people on the street knew that they versus they were running things. And a lot of the complaints we hear, well, I want it like the old days.
So,
And the old days are gone, but they wanting it like that. But our operation, in this area of the state was run by the mills, not by the cities.
and how do we capture that? Is
I
that?
don't know. You're the government person.
Well,
I think you're talking about diversification.
yeah, or,
Having
Or like enlightenment and growth of the city, is that kind of what
or
you're
like this,
But it's a whole society. I mean, it's, how are we gonna change the people to realize the mills aren't running it?
here anymore.
We're not that many generations.
that was a philosophical question.
Nothing else.
Like what's wrong.
And is this like a,
Not the president.
is this maybe like a past dependence on industry? Is that what we're getting at for them to make
No,
decisions? and
we
guide?
didn't depend on them. They told us what to do. It was a different-
And I get your point as far as the feeling being, people felt they were cared for by the mill.
Right.
I think that they're thinking for them.
Well, and maybe is this an opportunity somehow? Could you work on that? I see Council Berkeley's been trying to get in and we need a little bit more work. Well, help me think this through though, like how do we, the opportunity is like the loss of large employers.
No, we're not talking,
We're talking.
mental operation or.
Yeah,
mental
I was like,
direction.
that's not a, okay.
Do you think of a way to put that up here?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I mean,
It's just difficult to put.
Going nowhere.
Yeah, well, it is a culture piece, right? So there's this like latent culture of
Change and
mill big brothering
That's mindset.
growth and
It's
and
culture
education,
change, or an opportunity.
That's
An
often
opportunity.
opportunity.
cultural change.
Cultural change.
change is always a threat, so we don't wanna worry about that.
And always an
I figured,
opportunity.
yeah.
Yes.
Cultural
change. Okay,
You had some.
so, yeah, that's right, we do, so yes, we also have a great committed volunteer base in our commissions and committees. So our planning commission, our parks and rec commission, our library committees, so we do have strong
Commitment and leadership.
commissions and
Yeah, or volunteer like commission volunteers.
Sure.
Do we go commission volunteers as a strength?
commissions and
Even the friends too, man. Friends
Yeah.
show up for us. Yes. Can we do a plus friends there, please? Does that feel okay?
Just for the record, we have one friend.
That's the library.
Friends of Knopville.
We have friends of the library and friends of Dalton Lake and friends of.
We've got,
Friends of Dalton Lake are not an official group. They've never applied, they've never asked.
They haven't yet?
Nope.
Oh,
well, we like friends.
well, I'll check.
They're friends of friends.
Friends of friends. Council Martin, were you trying to get in? Did you have?
No, she
I'm
was
sure
going
it's back
through
to
it.
the discussion of.
Yeah, well, I think we resolved that.
What
So
about our,
I'll just, yeah, I mean, no.
so, and what about our threats? What about our threats? Natural disasters, probably some man-made disasters, probably some
Misinformation.
misinformation.
Extension of Portland. The problems of Portland are our threats.
One of the good things about Portland.
Yeah.
You know,
They
it's a
burn down
strength.
quick.
Drink so much coffee in one day. is that-
No, I am still exhausted.
They burned out in one day.
They could grow up the next day.
Is that, how do we capture?
Well, commuters.
Are you talking about like?
Say it again, Rachel?
San Francisco.
Well,
Young.
yeah, hang on, we've got some,
You know who's saying?
yeah, this isn't a
The city council.
good point over here.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Go to
You're
San
right.
Francisco right now, everybody's in the street,
So,
and everybody still has got a.
Listening to you.
I'm listening too.
I am listening.
thank you, this doesn't matter, I'm trying to figure this out.
I know.
Well, and trying to capture that, like, the threat of like
Strength of.
metro ill.
Gentrification.
You know, like, is it like a threat of
Thing.
big city problems, like, what's the,
Look what's happened.
Yeah.
That's what people think when they say we don't want to be from Portland. There is, like Doug says, there's a lot of positive things about Portland, and we got a lot of people who are from Portland bringing up.
Maybe-
Why not?
You don't want to be friends with Portland, but 80% of your residents are from
Yeah.
Portland,
Yeah.
Beaverton, and Hillsborough.
Yeah.
and that's
You're
another,
already.
Right, I know, right, it's like, so that's what I'm saying, that's what I hear.
Yeah.
You're right, you already,
Drop out.
and is the threat the perception?
Perception.
Portland?
Perception.
Perception, yes.
Perception?
That's a
perception that we're gonna be compromised.
And then there was another important point about commuting. Right, our out commute rate. Is that, do you feel like that's a threat? Is that a weakness? Is that it's a weakness? It can go in both places too. I tend to view the weaknesses as more kind of internal and threats as like things that can hit us in the head.
I mean, people, they got jobs, they're coming back, they're living, I mean, we want them to spend more of their money here instead of driving down to Costco, well, I'm not going to Costco pay for that. You know, we want them to, you know, come, so.
Can the threat be the out commute? Is that
Okay, back to community. We were the ferry landing across the river.
okay, so let's get the threat as an out commute. Does that feel all right?
The out commute, yeah, it's okay, it's right, that it reduces some community, in terms of reducing some community engagement.
Yeah.
I think it's true.
Yeah.
Some folks on the other side of Highway 30 don't have a connection to.
Yeah, and
Just commute.
out commute. And then,
You seem to be.
I'm just not sure how commuting is a threat. I'm trying to figure that one out in my head.
The direction of commute is what the threat is.
well,
With the lack of industry, I feel like that would be more of the issue, right? It's the lack
Yeah, well,
of jobs being here, not necessarily the commute. That's
So,
my thought.
opportunity for local jobs, is that like the other side of it?
Lots of industrial property.
Okay.
We don't have the industry on top of it.
Sorry, Rachel, my
No,
confusion.
That's what I said, Rachel.
More confusion, it's so good, it's so good. I think,
Is it a weakness or opportunity to lack jobs, local jobs?
That's.
Weakness, it's a weakness right now.
weakness, lack of local jobs.
Lack of us.
And then there's that other side of the opportunity of or job creation. Let's say job creation, because that's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing I don't know about anybody else, but I was like, we have Paul here, you know, and that percentage of that goes to fund him, but. And he was talking about Cascade Tissue, the conversation that we had was. Everybody was like about the jobs, you know, even the people that voted for it.
I just wanted to hold Cascade accountable. I
I
really did, I'm not kidding. I was.
Let me take the second.
No, we were.
yeah.
So
We're not.
some of the commute piece is a social component where you're talking about commuting. There's the leave early, come home late.
Yeah.
don't have time or anything, that's kind of what that's about. It has like a social ripple of non-volunteerism and,
The thing with that is people choose to live where they live though, you know?
but it's at a cost, right?
Can I put timing in parentheses?
Sure, yeah.
Sure.
There's a that's a real thing.
Yeah.
There's a real difference when my 5-minute commute to Columbia City Elementary is providing me a lot more opportunity for engagement when I don't have the 50 minutes each way to Hillsborough.
Getting anything in Westport.
So a lot of people, I think, yeah,
I agree with you 100%.
The opportunity from Counselor Topaz, the ferry opportunity.
Yeah.
Ferry?
Yeah. Yeah.
I scooped it, I
I,
scooped this up from somewhere. The
Yes, he did say
opportunity
ferry.
for a ferry. Well, speaking of long range planning and all this infrastructure money, let's get a ferry up there.
Susan Kahn's paper that she did maybe 10 years ago now is still pretty informative.
Yeah.
So yeah, so let's.
Get it in there.
Somebody mentioned on the ferry, there's two types of ferries, one for vehicles and one for cars. We want to get down Portland, high-speed boats.
Yeah.
Over the ferry. In the old days, that was the only way to go.
Commuter ferries, I grew up in with commuter ferries and commuter rail. Let's do it.
Staten Island ferry.
I know we're gonna be coming up against time. I also pulled out the SWOT analysis from close to 2 years ago for you all to look at and just kind of see what that's, but is there anything else? I feel like we're very quiet.
And an overall concern is the flexibility for the staff to make decisions without having to go to the master plan. A couple things that comes to mind is Veterans Plaza. Never was on a master plan. That in particular is, something that I'd like to see the staff not tied to all their projects that are projects that that are on the list. Because it has to be on the list before they're going to do anything, and it has to be in the master plan.
It's just a weakness that it has to be on the list. Is that like a mindset?
No, I'd like to see it as build in more flexibility for the staff to make decisions.
Perfect.
The weakness is we don't have the flexibility now. The opportunity is having the flexibility.
Well, and I think the way our goals are set is we have those set up where they are immediate in goal setting and then a couple of years and then it keeps working its way down. That's what I would call how our goals are set out.
Yes.
Yeah, it's difficult to, I totally get what you're saying. It's very difficult, even from my departments, think outside the box when we have this strategic plan with strategic goals, and that's what my staff is focusing on, because that's what you've kind of.
Yes.
Well, it also saddles the council. Okay, so if something comes up with some kind of opportunity and it isn't on the master plan, forget it. No, I don't think that should happen. I think this council should have the flexibility. I think the staff should have the flexibility to shift gears and seize an opportunity, whether it's economic or whether it's strategic in certain ways. I don't know, but I think that building in flexibility is extremely important.
So if somebody showed
As
up
a value.
if somebody showed up with $18 million and they wanted to do something, right now we have a problem because it's not on the master plan.
Put up the last year's to us.
Does this capture it though, build in flexibility for staff to make decisions and take opportunities?
Yeah.
I wouldn't put staff, just say change opportunities, because that'd be counseling.
Staff council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Staff council. And this is why Matt makes. the
Matt, you
notes.
have to-
Let him write one thing. Yes.
Our professional scribe, thank you.
Well,
And I've got all my markers are all a mess. I probably did it.
I'm curious to see where we're at 2 years ago.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, is that just to,
City owned property,
this is,
great, big one.
so here, yeah, 2 years ago, if you look at the,
Riverfront, watershed property, room to grow, railroad.
So in the red highlights were the items that you said are the most important. The yellow would be the second or third most important.
yes, and as we just review this, I'm gonna have each of you choose markers at random and put up the two that are highest top of line for you in each category. Okay. So let's look at a couple of years back.
Yep.
Right,
The highest priority is strength is sense of community. That is a really
Well,
good one.
and to think about kind of how we did, like the teamwork at all levels, right? Hiring experts, leadership capacity, get it done. I feel like we've gotten quite a bit done, even with a global pandemic and constrained revenues and crazy times upon us, right? Yeah,
Weakness and threats.
yeah.
So weaknesses never really got a top one. It was a 4 of them that were.
That tax rate.
Yeah. Building department, permit process, and economic property development.
That is a huge weakness, isn't it? That tax rate,
Yeah, still is.
that $1.90.8 per thousand.
Yeah, and some of these, you know, of course, the threats are kind of out of our control, right? And that shows that recessions and politics and misinformation, you know. Some of these we can certainly take action on and have, I would argue.
And media has kind of moved to the opposite side, just with Crystal's presentation and what we've seen with our local papers. You know, they're expecting us to write the article, which is a great benefit.
Yeah.
Because we can control the narrative.
We had so much misinformation going on the threats. It was just crazy. We were sending them even written stuff and they would misprint it and it wouldn't be right. It'd be like, how did that happen? The county was doing the same thing at the same time, so. It was weird. That was weird. Having the issues with it.
That's been one of the benefits of COVID, to be honest, is being able to control the narrative more of what we're doing at the city.
Well, we can see the whole country really believes the media anymore. That's kind of bad news all the way around.
So can we come up and do that?
Yeah, please do, and
We're
then,
getting close to our.
yeah,
One and two?
yeah, so take any marker you would
Two on
like.
each.
You get, yeah, 2 kind of check marks on each of these.
Hey, you
And
stole
then-
my color.
We will summarize and share last times and this times. And then, well, I'll do that. And this is part 1 of 2, everybody.
Kick it out. Well, that's right, when you get the thing to type it up. you
Rolling right in. Rolling right in.
Let's talk a little bit about values. Recognize that we have them, but they're not stated, it's nothing.
So, well, can we roll it to part 2? Can we use this to project
That'll be the next meeting, right?
to that and project the value?
Get out of it. It's the boots. It's the boots.
Just wanted to recognize this.
Please.
Holds up to.
Value overlay.
Veteran.
Favorite of yours is the value overlay.
Your usual. You did okay, because I think.
Poverty mindset was what you're trying to say. It was on the last round.
So,
I believe. I think that's.
sure, I just.
This is actually a mark. I know it's green and green, but it's actual mark.
Okay.
I just put dots on mine.
Okay. Oh, I see, yeah, yeah.
From a very different part of the country, I see
Yeah.
the effect of the mills on the mentality of this area, big deal. And it's been a big holdup.
Thank you. Yeah, you can't.
Quite that changes
Poor
when they're
guy.
doing.
Yes,
Boise is changing its attitude and it leaves, it isn't, I'm
So,
not,
so is your workforce though too, so they're going out and having a different experience and learning new things.
yeah, but you, I was
And
confident.
just because it's not your tattoo doesn't mean.
Now I don't.
As far as-
Either, you know.
Like, no, right, son.
Yeah, but I know right now is real money in the bank.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the other thing we've learned, we've given up crafts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Around now. Going through a cultural change. So, I mean.
What I do for you turned into what can you?
Right, and I don't have to do that at all.
Meeting, okay? So,
I'm gonna go.
you're adjourned?
You want me to use the pen?
Yes, please.
I haven't been able to use, is that the right color?
It doesn't matter. They are all the right color. Oh, hello, Fred. Great. We are just wrapping up a council activity.